Hey, happy Friday. Hey, Nicole. Nicole, what'd you do with Damon? Where's Damon today, dude? What's
I
going on?
know. I don't know. He took off, so I'm taking over for him.
You're taking over.
He's been
So,
Wally Pipped.
okay, now Nicole Donnelly from Donnelly Marketing Group. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Wally Pipp? Who is Wally Pipp? For goodness gracious, does it have anything to do with that Lou Gehrig guy? What's this Wally Pipp thing?
You know better than I. You're the baseball guy, Kurt. Yeah.
Okay, so all right, here's the story. So Damon, if you're out there, brother, hey, God bless you. Hope you're enjoying the family. So we have Nicole Donnelly here filling in the seats here. And so there's a story back. Lou Gehrig, the famous baseball player, has an awful disease named after him, but one of the greatest baseball players of all time, great Yankee first baseman. There was a gentleman by the name of Wally Pipp, and he decided, I'm going to take a day off. He took a day off. Lou Gehrig went in and never sat down again. He broke a record, 2,000 some games or whatever it was. And so Damon, Nicole claims that she's going to Wally Pipp you. So how's that?
Wow. You know, I have big shoes to fill. I've been channeling Damon. I've been listening to ZZ Top before the show.
Nice.
I've got my Mandarin candle here, getting a good, nice mojo going on here. So Damon. Awesome. I'm going to do my best.
Awesome. Okay. Well, hey, everybody out there, this is such an honor, such a privilege to introduce our guest. So I don't know if anybody remembers. I'm probably the only one old enough to remember this. So guys, remember Hans and Franz? So I'm Hans, and we have Mike.
And I'm Franz.
And we've got Nicole, and we are here to pump you up. So, all right, guys, that's a Saturday Night Live reference. I think late 80s, maybe early 90s. So we have Mike Franz, CEO and founder of ManufacturingPower.com. Michael, how are you, my friend?
Oh, fantastic. Pleasure to be with you guys today. Really looking forward to it. Damon, you have no worries or issues. I'm not here to pip you or anything like that, but it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, Damon, if you didn't just catch the whole intro, so Nicole's playing ZZ Top for you. And so anyway, we got the whole thing going. So, Mike, let's take a deep dive. Let's just go right in. You and I have connected. We actually connected years ago, pre-COVID. It's funny, like how life is like, pre-COVID, post-COVID. You and I connected years ago. I've been kind of following your work, huge fan of what you have going on. We're going to take a deep dive into manufacturing power today. But I want to back up a little bit. My first question for you today, my friend. You're a young man. I'm going to even go back before young man. You're a young boy growing up. You're just a relentless entrepreneur. You've had an illustrious career. As a little boy growing up, who was your hero? Who was your hero growing up as a little boy?
Oh, man. That is a really tough one. Jeez, you hit me with it.
I came in, since we're talking baseball, Lou Gehrig, I came in with a slider.
Yeah.
I came in with a slider right off the bat.
Boy, really growing up, okay, I had a couple. So I was big into sports.
Yep.
And keeping with the sports theme, I wasn't much of a baseball player, but as a matter of fact, as a vertically challenged youngster, I was actually really into basketball.
Nice.
And Michael Jordan, he was kind of in his prime when I was really into that. And that and golf. And Jack Nicklaus was kind of tailing off at the end of his career. But those two, I think they were probably, as far as me being into sports, they were the pinnacle of both of their respective sports. And I would say that those were my idols, But then, in the family, both my grandfathers were really big influences on my life. They were huge as far as being idols of mine, how they were as men, as how they were as family men. It was they were huge influences on me.
Oh, that's awesome. So I concur 100%. What a privilege to watch Michael Jordan play. Man, he was just grace on the court.
Unbelievable.
What's that?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yeah. It was truly a gift and a blessing just to watch him in action. And of course, Jack Nicklaus, the great golfer, he's an ex-Buckeye. So he's he's an Ohio State guy. And then of course, both your grandfathers, what are your grandfathers' names?
Albert and Homer.
Nice. Albert and Homer. So, all right, awesome. So, hey, we're giving a little shout out to the grandpas today. So, hey, I want to take a deep dive. And okay, so we're going to jump ahead a little bit, Mike. So, you're kind of kick-starting your career. Let's walk through like younger Mike post-college days. What did career look like in your 20s? And like we were going to lead our way up to how we got here.
Yeah. So, it's kind of I never really thought I would get involved in manufacturing. I never really had any dreams or aspirations necessarily to go into manufacturing, but just kind of fell into it out of college. Had a couple college, jobs that were actually, I was heavy into golf in college. Nice. And worked at golf courses, just kind of to pay the bills. Got interested, speaking of sports and athletes and idols and people like that. That was right when Tiger Woods was just at the very top of his game.
Yeah.
So, and at the time, Nike was coming out with their clubs and Tiger was being endorsed by them. And I was getting done with college and I thought it would be great to get involved with a manufacturer of golf clubs. I applied for everyone under the sun, never got hired, never got an interview, never got hired. So it was it was a little disappointing, but things have panned out. And going on from that, I went to school in South Carolina, headed back to the Midwest to be with family and friends, more or less, and was a little bit lost, as some people are coming out of college. And found a job in industrial distribution, and that led into working for manufacturers, that led into working for more industrial distribution, that led into working for a Fortune 500 company that was a wholesaler that sold through distribution. So I kind of tell people that I was getting into manufacturing. I've seen it kind of from all different sides of it. Originally working for an industrial distributor and then going into an OEM and making, of all things, crankshafts for the power sport industry. It was pretty exciting, pretty interesting. I got to travel quite a bit. It was an Italian company and got to travel the world a little bit. And that was kind of it. It hooked me. And it's hard to kind of believe, but it's been 20 years of being in and around manufacturing.
Yeah. It's amazing how you blink and all of a sudden like 20 years flies by. And I love how you cut your teeth in manufacturing, didn't necessarily, wasn't, intentional, but kind of a calling, and found it attractive, brought your talent, your skills into this space, which has been phenomenal. You mentioned OEMs, you mentioned a Fortune 500 company. Did I see Kimberly Clark in your background? Is that where you were?
Yep. That was after I had worked for the OEM, and it was small world type stuff, but it was, it was actually through my mom that I got introduced to Kimberly Clark, and it was a good fit at the time. And that's when I kind of started to get the ideas of manufacturing power, of trying to see that there was a need in the market for a particular product and an idea. And that's what kind of led me down this path.
Awesome. Well, hey, Nicole, we got a couple of people here. David Chrysler is giving a shout out to Damon. Says hello, everybody. We've got our dear buddy John Baglino's in the house here today. So happy Friday, guys.
Hey,
Hey, feel free. Please let us know that you're out there and drop any questions here for Mike Franz. So, hey, today we've got Mike Franz, CEO of ManufacturingPower. And what I love, Mike, on your LinkedIn profile, you have right on there family values. Nicole, that sings our song. And
Yes.
you've talked about you've talked about both your grandparents today. You talked about mom helped you with this connection on Kimberly Clark. You want to you piqued my curiosity there. What was the connection? How did mom introduce you to Kimberly Clark?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. Okay, so we'll tell this. Let the world, all of your millions and millions of people,
My millions, yeah.
Tell this story. But so my mom, she worked down in in Alpharetta, Georgia, at one of the facilities, and she was in QA, so quality control, QC, quality control down there, I guess they call it. But she always told me that her primary job was to rub diapers on her face.
Rub diapers on her face. Now, and she had practice, I'm sure, like, changed many of your diapers, of course. So, like, all right, so let's go there.
Let me clarify, because that might confuse some people out there. So
clean diapers, unused diapers.
Yes,
right?
yeah. Of course. Jeez. Come on, Kurt.
I'm sorry. All right,
so she had to test for basically how soft and how they felt on skin, and whether or not they gave any sort of rashes, or there was any sort of reactions that came of it. And she would say face, but she would test them on the back of her hand. And she was So she was in quality control down in Alpharetta at KC.
Did she ever get any rashes?
Nothing. No, there was they had good product, and it all turned out. So she was there, and then I was, at the time, it seemed like a good idea for me to explore that. So here's another kind of funny story. Yeah, is that, and I don't mean to take up too much time here, but
that's fine.
As part of that, when I had found out that there was an opening at Kimberly-Clark, and I've told this story kind of many times, I guess, but when I found out there was an opening at Kimberly-Clark and I applied, I told her, and I said, hey, Mom, is there any way that you would take my resume and maybe hand it off to somebody down there and see, if maybe that could help out? Right. And she said, nope, I don't want any part of that. I don't want any part of it. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm so nervous. I wouldn't know who to do it for. I said, oh, well, you're not even going to help your own son out. And it became a big joke in our family, but eventually things panned out, and I ended up getting a job there. But it was kind of a funny situation.
Well, that is hysterical. What's Mom's name?
Phyllis. Yeah.
Phyllis. Well, hey, God bless Phyllis for raising a great son that she did, and what a great sense of humor. So, for all of us that have changed, how many diapers, Nicole, how many diapers have you changed in your life?
Oh, man.
2 or 3?
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I've got 2 girls, so
and Kimberly
Clark is behind me.
And Kimberly-Clark is best in class, and so we have Phyllis to thank for that, as she was testing those out on her face. So, hey, tell Phyllis thank you for all of us parents out there that have changed diapers. We send our love and our hugs to Phyllis for all that she did for the diaper, for all of us parents out there. So, Mike, I just want to share a few things. So Nicole, I don't know if you know this about Mike. So people say great things about Mike. Mike, I want to give a few shout outs to these. Are things that on your LinkedIn profile. Disruptor, and we're going to slide right into Manufacturing Power next. He is inquisitive, sincere, in the trenches. He knows the business that you need to know. He's dedicated, customer focused, goes the extra mile, and is hardworking.
Oh, God. Yeah. I'm blushing, man. Come on.
And that didn't even come from Phyllis or Homer. These are like people.
I love that. Disruptor. That is awesome.
So, Mike, let's do it. So you've had this great career, Fortune 500, Kimberly-Clark. Mom, you got the job even without Phyllis's help. That was just awesome. She probably did you a big favor. But now 2017, if I have that correct, you decide to launch Manufacturing Power. Okay. For anybody out there that's been working, large companies, big, I know David Chrysler, you took the plunge in entrepreneurship. We just talked about that on the show a few weeks ago. Mike, for anybody out there that's like, man, my dream is going to entrepreneurship. Talk about what was that transition like? It was pre-COVID, 2017. How did this brainchild come about, and what was that plunge like going into entrepreneurship?
Well, to say, to start with kind of the idea, then I can kind of get into the taking the plunge portion of it. The idea stemmed actually while I was at Kimberly-Clark. I was sitting at there's a corporate office here in the Twin Cities of a large retail brand that looks like there's a big circle and then a little circle in the inside of it. It's all red. You
That's
may
my
know
favorite store.
You may
Yeah.
know them. But I was sitting in there with some colleagues, and we were talking about being part of a consortium and being part of a buying group. And they were talking about my background was in manufacturing and that industry and industrial distribution. And they said, if there was a way to figure out how to incorporate some of those concepts and ideas like they have with on the retail end of Kimberly-Clark's sales and through wholesale, if there could be a way to democratize that a little bit more on the industrial side, that would be a very good idea. So my brain started thinking about stuff and how we could do that. And at the time, computer servers and server space was all going into the cloud, and things were much more accessible as far as gathering up big time data. So you could gather up big time data in a cheap and more affordable way. I started thinking about that and how we could really hone in on that idea of gathering the data necessary to more democratize not only the part numbers associated with industrial supplies, but also the pricing, and kind of came up with the idea of manufacturing power. Can get into that a little bit more detail, but to take the plunge to do that, it is scary. It's like, what do you do? I knew nothing about entrepreneurship, and like taking a plunge, had a decent job, and it was really scared about how to do it, when to do it, and things. And to be, just perfectly frank, in 2017, there were in the sales side of Kimberly-Clark, there was some layoffs, and I got laid off. And prior to that, I had this idea for manufacturing power, and I thought, okay, if I'm ever going to do this, now's the time. So thanks for having some reorg and getting rid of me, because I finally took the plunge into entrepreneurship, which is it's been, I know my dad is probably so sick of hearing me saying the roller coaster ride of entrepreneurship that it's driven him crazy. But it's really a roller coaster ride. It's not easy. I had a big afro 5 years ago, big, thick, luscious head of hair.
Oh,
and now, no, I'm kidding about that, but no, it's very stressful. There's a lot that goes into it. You have to be pretty resilient. And if you think you've got a good idea, there's so much support out there that you need to seek out. But when you seek it out and ask people for help and get help along the way, we're on LinkedIn right now. You establish a good network. People are willing to help out more than you think. I mean, like you guys right now. I mean, you're helping me out by talking about it. So it's really it's a scary thing to take that plunge, but it can be worth it.
What a cool, happy accident that it ended up that way. I feel like, when you take up advantage of opportunities like that, it's pretty remarkable. Kurt and I were just talking about this yesterday. Like, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Oh my goodness. You're so right about that. There's like so many ups and downs. Yeah. But in spite of it all, like I was telling Kurt, I was like, I would never want to do it any other way.
Yeah, well,
so many rewarding things that come with it. It's just so great to be able to create and build something that helps others.
That's one of the things, Nicole, is like, and one of the things that I've like the rewarding part is not only kind of the relationships and the people that you meet and all these different the networks that you build, but the learning process of just learning about business, about every aspect of things that go into trying to make something successful is that's I get up every day and I'm like, oh, what are we going to learn today? What's going to happen today? There's going to be something that hits the fan. There's going to be something that is exciting. There's going to be something that makes you angry. There's going to be something that is, just like, oh, do I have to do that? It's all over the board, but it's a great experience.
Oh,
if you can deal with it.
yeah. If you love a challenge, it's totally, it's the greatest way for you to learn, for sure, and to develop like incredible resilience, so yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, first off, God bless you. We salute you. We applaud you, man. What and even though I love that word, Nicole, happy accident. Are you kidding me? What a happy accident. Mike, do you I know probably might be the dumb question of the day and total hypothetical. Had they not pulled the trigger for you, do you think that you would have moved forward?
That's a really good question, Kurt, because based on my reaction when it happened, I would say no, because I was sad and upset. And then it took about 3 days to really be like, or maybe it was 20 minutes. I can't remember. One of the 3 days or 20 minutes, but I was like, oh, this is a good thing because now I can finally do this. But no, it's would I have done it? Maybe not. I don't know. It's maybe the stars aligned. Who knows? Who knows what happened?
I just think it's so cool that you were able to pull yourself, because to be laid off emotionally, that is very taxing. But to be able to pull yourself out of that and say, because you have to have a lot of confidence to start a business, like a lot of moxie. So the fact that you were able to pull yourself out of that and just say, go, really go for it, says just a tremendous amount about you, I think, and your resilience. And
well, you guys are too nice, but it was seriously, it's like, well, I will say this. I've had a ton of support from family, friends, and just the network of people that I've met, that it's not like, you pull yourself up a little bit, but you can't do it without other people and the generosity of other people. So I'm completely grateful for all of that. So.
Right. All right. So, man, we could talk all day just strictly on just this leap, this transition. Again, for folks out there, man, Mike, just, millions of people during COVID lost jobs, scaled back, stuck at home, and had a lot of, like you're calling happy accidents. A lot of, Nicole, I love that line. A lot of folks were forced entrepreneurship, or maybe just out of, I need to provide for my family. So, Mike, again, I know you're very humble and you're, very modest. We're giving you a lot of credit here, but I mean, boy, please accept it, because it is extremely inspirational that under a tough emotional time, you made that plunge. I'd like to take a deep dive. Let's go right into manufacturing power. You've talked, you've kind of laid it up for us, talked about a lot of industrial, a lot of solutions, Fortune 500, Kimberly-Clark, and you kept seeing these problems over and over. Let's slide right into what is manufacturing power. What solution do you guys provide?
Sure. So the way I break it down is, and the easiest way to explain it is that considering industrial supplies, so anything that you buy at, I'm going to throw out a couple of names, and I hope it's all right, but Grainger, Fastenal, MSC, anybody involved in manufacturing knows those names, and they'll understand that they provide everything from tooling to toilet paper, which was always kind of my line. But those type of products always seem to get maybe a little bit overlooked. It's tough to manage because there's thousands of part numbers that are involved with that spend. So what we do, and there's not a lot of price transparency when it comes to that. So they can have they can either buy a product from Fastenal or from Grainger, but there's not a lot of market information that shows what the true market cost of those or price is of those items. So what we do, first of all, is we go in and help a company. Small to mid-sized manufacturing companies are the ones we target. We go in and we try to help them organize that data first and foremost. So we try and get rid of any duplication. And the majority of the companies we deal with still have spreadsheets that track all that information, or that's where it's stored in spreadsheets. The data for those items is all stored in spreadsheets. So we go in and help organize that data first of all. Then we analyze it against the market. And what we do is we collect not only book or list price data off the internet for those items, but then we also, from our other customers, we gather in customer invoice data, we anonymize that, and then we compare it against our customer base. So what that does, it gives you a true picture of what the market pricing is for those particular items and that spend. Now, the advantage to that is they really see how they stack up against the market for that, again, spend. So they can take that information and that data back to their distributor partners and really negotiate for the best pricing possible.
I love that. Kurt and I have a mutual client that sells filtration equipment. So Grainger, all of that's so familiar to me. And I talk to the sales team all the time, and they have such a struggle because there's so much back and forth between the procurement side of things. They'll like literally come to the sales folks and say, I have a picture of this part. Can you help me figure out what it is? They don't even have a part number.
Right.
And it's just like so much back and forth. And when you're dealing with these operations where like literally these filtration products, like their operation depends on this, like they need it to run their plant. Like any way that you can shorten that and speed that and create some efficiency in that process, I think is just such a tremendous value.
Well, that's one of the huge things too, Nicole, that you just touched on, is the back and forth and trying to determine in that list of 1,000 part numbers, okay, we have these, is this the item that you're talking about? And if your part number is off in your system by one number, one letter, one character, that can screw kind of everything up. So when we organize that data, not only do we verify part numbers by manufacturer and by distributor part number, but we also provide picture information and links to that actual distributor URL. So you can verify it right there on the spot. You can take a peek at it and make sure that looks and, well, not feels, but looks exactly like what it is. So it's a real apples to apples comparison.
I love that.
That's awesome. Hey, this comment goes a while back, but David says, I toured those city blocks and skywalks, Mike. That it's an impressive campus. That was back when you were mentioning, I think that one company with the circles. But then here's our dear friend up in Alaska. Here's Don. And I think, Don, you're actually from Minnesota. So we have a fellow Minnesota here. We've got, holy smokes, Mike, you got that right. Trying to get a decent cost comparison information on high end. I can't even pronounce that word, Don. So Don's a career guy, and then took a plunge into entrepreneurship. And Don, happy Friday to you, my friend. So Mike, a couple of things on your website. And again, guys, if you're just joining us, we're with Mike Franz, the CEO of ManufacturingPower. Strongly encourage, welcome you, invite you, check out his website. A lot of great information. Mike, on the website, you've got price and delivery data for industrial supplies, power pack business intelligence, peer-to-peer transparency. So you kind of answered it, but I'd like to go a little bit deeper on that peer-to-peer transparency. Yeah.
So the idea there is that I'll just give you a scenario. So company A buys, they buy a widget part number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they buy it at a particular volume. Let's say they buy 100 at 100 a year, and company B buys that same product widget number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they buy it at 110 per year. Okay, so there's not a huge volume difference, but company A is paying $10 for it, and company B is paying $12 a pop for it. Okay, well, that's the type of information that we collect, we anonymize, and then we share that back. So company B can see really that their peers in that part number scenario, they're paying too much. So they'll take that information back to their distributor and say, hey guys, we need you to sharpen your pencil a little bit and give us that better pricing. There's a lot of things that go into that. Okay, we provide the data. Now it's there are procurement teams, obviously, for a reason. Some are better at negotiation, some aren't. There's a lot of variables that go into that. And we are strictly providing that data organization and price comparison, where it's up to those professional procurement teams to really take that information and that data, that knowledge, that industry and market knowledge, and use that the best way that they can.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. How often is the pricing updated, with inflation and all of that happening? Like, how frequently do you update all of that pricing information?
That's a great question. And it kind of depends, Nicole. It depends on any activity that we have with that part number. So if there's not activity, and we have back end, when I say back end, our computer programming and all the smart people that work on that do a great job for that. But what that is that, and not to get into this too specifically into it, but it's updated as needed. I'll say it that way. If there's no activity and then somebody looks at it, we have mechanisms in place to look at it and to get that information updated. But it's not a constant thing in our back-end programming that's always happening, but it is as needed.
That's awesome. So, Mike, I have my little cell phone here, so I was checking out some of your case studies. I want to talk about that for a second. And then, of course, I know you have some really exciting news, speaking of cell phones. We'll get into that in 1 second. But talk about some of your case studies. Like when you and I have talked in the past, you've shared some really powerful examples where companies are saving time, saving money. Can you, and again, guys, if you're out there, strongly encourage you, check out ManufacturingPower.com. Check out these case studies. But Mike, just share some of the examples that you've seen, just these aha moments, or just when customers are like, man, Mike, thank you for all this great savings. Can you share any of those?
Sure. And I mean, the bottom line really, Kurt, is that we, in all cases, it's really a combination of two things. And the combination is getting the organization of the data is a huge help for a lot of the companies that we deal with, because as I mentioned before, the spreadsheet information, fat fingering of data entry, it's bad data in, bad data out. It's always a challenge for companies that don't necessarily put MRO and industrial supply at the top of their priority list. So just getting that information organized is a huge time savings and efficiency improvement. The second common thing is, once the data is entered into our system, we have what we call the power potential, which the power potential identifies as the data is entered. It takes a little bit of time to process, usually a few minutes, but it runs through our back-end system, identifies any part numbers where there's cost savings potential. So we manufacturing power, we call it the power potential. It gives the potential of cost savings opportunities. Then we have what we call the hit list. It ranks those items. So we have the highest cost saving opportunity or power potential opportunities ranked at the top on down. So you'll see if there's one item where somebody else in the market paid, $200 less than you did. Okay, that's a bigger ticket item, and then it ranks them on down. So those are the ways that we've shown companies a huge advantage, huge savings. Our savings range, but it's usually dependent upon the size of the company and the amount of part numbers that have been entered. There's a couple variables there, but those are the couple of common things that happen in virtually all the case studies.
Right. And so for larger companies or even smaller companies that are using a particular SKU or, a disposable or some type of a product that they're going through a ton, taking advantage of manufacturing power is fantastic. And that was actually that was going to be my next question. And I love that power potential, man. I kind of love that phrase that you guys have come up with. Now, Mike, when you and I spoke, you were talking about, like many folks out there, they use the travel sites. Nicole, you're an avid traveler. There's Expedia, some of the different travel sites. I think, is there a comparable of kind of like, we went layman's terms, or like if somebody's still like, man, Mike, I'm kind of getting it, but what any of those travel sites is there a comparable there? Or?
Well, this is here's the softball. And this is exciting. This is exciting, super exciting for us. And I appreciate you leading me to this one. But we have a new mobile app that's going to be released just before IMTS, which IMTS show is coming up here in Chicago on the 12th. The name is called In Supply, and it's a mobile app that is designed. I'll use the example that you were leading me to, Kurt.
Okay.
So
and for the record, Mike, that really wasn't planned, was it? I think
no.
I threw that softball inadvertently. So
inadvertent softball.
Yeah,
No, that is perfect.
Softball.
Good segue.
Didn't fully plan it, but no. So let's hear. I'm excited to hear this new product that you have.
So the analogy that I use is with Kayak. So Kayak is a travel website, and basically what they do is they aggregate all. I'll just use flights as the example. So they aggregate all the flights from all the different carriers, and they show that information to the end user and let them decide where they're going to shop and who they're going to reach out to. That's exactly what we do in the industrial supply space, but we're focused more on local distribution. So what I tend to tell people, and to simplify it, is we show you where locally to buy and how much it's going to cost. And then the end user, the user of the mobile app, can make that decision based off that information. And I can get into some more details on that if you'd like me to.
I'm all ears if you want to keep it rolling.
Yeah. So, but thank you.
Oh, he's getting excited.
Let's geek right out, Mike. Let's geek right out, because you know what, Mike? Just let's do another pause. We're here to pump everybody up. So let's get pumped up.
Well, I'm pumped.
I'm ready to start playing the top. All right.
I know you'll remember this, but they used to go like this.
That's right. Yeah. You know what? I was going to fill up my shirt for you today. But.
Please don't. No. So over the past 2 years, we had some requests to. We all know, what's been happening over the last 2 years. Don't need to get into any of that, but
did something happen? I don't know. Nicole, did you know?
Yeah.
Let's forget about that.
But a lot of supply chain concerns, and there was one common thing that we heard was from customers and from potential customers, and I'm pretty active in the local procurement community with some organizations and associations, and I just ask questions all the time, but they're probably annoyed with me. But anyhow, there was a common thing that could be narrowed down to two things, and people are looking for up here, the ones that I've talked to, we're looking for price and availability. Where can I find items that I need locally, or that I can get super quickly? And we thought we could build something based on data that we've already collected, and also turn it into a super simple, easy to use mobile app that shows just that. If you're looking for a mouse, you need this particular mouse, instead of and here's part of the marketing portion of it, Nicole. This is, I hope you nod yes. This sounds like a good idea, but we want to show the end user where they can get it locally for the most part, and how much it's going to be, and show the different options that they have. And the marketing portion of it is, sure, they can go on Google and Google, I need this mouse, but it's going to show, to break it down a little bit more, it's going to show the highest ranking companies that land on that first page.
Right.
So there may not be a local distributor for that mouse that somebody finds and is aware of, and it has an account set up with, and all those different factors into for through distribution. So our goal was to collect local distributors and give them more eyeballs on their sites, on their e-commerce sites, by showing if I'm here in the Twin Cities, if I look up this mouse, I want to find who's in a 25-mile radius, where I can get it, how much is it going to be, and then I can make my buying decision based off that.
Oh, I love that, because I mean, small businesses, first of all, I love small businesses, and it's so hard, like, for them to compete in that, the big pool against the big guys. So I love that. It's such a great way to level the playing field and really be able to give these awesome small manufacturers and companies more visibility and transparency so people can see.
It's just 2 days ago, well, yesterday, I think, I was listening to a podcast, and it was a super successful venture capital guy. And he was talking about, he was an older gentleman in his 80s, and he referred back to newspapers. And if, there's a lot of people in the audience who may not remember what newspapers are, but anyway, he said that in local towns, you used to have to go to the newspaper to find advertisements, and you had to go to the newspaper to find things that you're really looking for. And I think I think it's like a bringing back a little bit of that local newspaper to it, where yes, you can go on Google and see the globe, you can see wherever you can do it, but for somebody who needs a part now, who's looking for the different options, we think this is going to be a quick and easy resource for them to use. And I just want to add one more thing too, because there's been and is and continues to be a skills gap of it, especially in manufacturing, a skills gap, but also a need for skilled labor. And there's skilled labor on the shop floor, for sure, that's an issue, but there's also skilled labor in the rest of the facility.
Right.
And there's a lot of turnover. In speaking with procurement professionals around here for the last 2 years, there's a lot of turnover that's happening in procurement. And what I found is that when a new person comes into, it might be a lower level role or a more junior role, they get handed the MRO and the industrial supplies, that as their job. And they might not have the knowledge or the Rolodex. Here we go, Kurt. The Rolodex of information, or the knowledge to know that there's 10 different distributors in the area that all offer that information.
They just need a Kurt. That's what they need.
You need a Kurt.
Kurt is the master.
Where's my Kurt?
Kurt knows everyone all over the country.
Could be a verb. All right.
Maybe we'll change the name to Kurt.
Yeah. Call it Kurt. So, Mike, I mean, if I'm understanding correctly, and then we have a question I want to pop up from Don, our dear friend in Alaska. But it almost sounds like you're creating like a nice little search engine. Are you like? Am I?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of sort of. It's more of there's when I saw Kayak's business model. Yeah, it's more of an aggregator of that information, and then just pointing people in the right direction. Like we don't sell anything on the site. It's just giving them the information, the aggregation of that information to go out and use how they want. But I mean, it's kind of sort of. But from a marketing standpoint, I think just distributors, the smaller distributors who don't rank on the first page of Google, could find it very, very impactful. So
totally, yeah. What a huge advantage, and what Damon and I constantly preach about is niching down, right, Nicole? Niche down to the roots. And Mike, what I love what you've done is like, okay, I'm going in this space, I'm going industrial, I'm going down local. I mean, like you've niched down to really solve a major problem. And let's jump in. Let's pull this question up. Mike, I'm working on a new lure head design. So Don is a lure manufacturer.
Don't use this.
Just
It'll scare the fish away. Too shiny.
the process needed to make them is plastic injection molding. The milling of the mold is a showstopper for me. Does your company help in solutions in situations like this? What do you think of that question?
Well, I can easily answer it. We don't do any machining. We don't do any milling. So unfortunately, I can't help with that.
Yep.
Now I can, if you want to reach out to me, I can probably maybe point you in the right direction. I don't know honestly, I don't know a ton of people up in Alaska that might be able to do it.
Yeah.
But maybe I can put you in touch with somebody that can help out with that.
But Don still has family in Minnesota, so maybe you guys can get together for a couple
for sure.
So, Don, you definitely need to connect with Mike, and we can take that deeper. But Mike, let's. I know we could chat all day. I want to be mindful, respectful of everybody's time. Manufacturing power. So, okay, like I'm a manufacturer out there, or you've really caught my attention. My ears are perked up, my eyes are wide open. Mike, how can I connect, engage with you? Let's walk through the process of how somebody engages with manufacturing power.
Yeah. Reach out directly to me. Anybody listening, please reach out directly to me. They can go to they can either go to the website, but more direct path is going to be to come either go through LinkedIn, Mike Franz on LinkedIn, FRANZ, or you can just direct email me at mike@manufacturingpower.com.
Perfect. Okay, and I'm not done with you yet, so don't go anywhere. So when hey, get back here. When somebody engages with you, Mike, let's give us like a manufacturing power 101. What does that engagement like? How talk about your business model? Like, how does somebody engage with you? What does a relationship look like? Take us there, if you would.
Yeah. Well, I guess every company might be a little bit different, Kurt. There's not really a structured format to that. First of all, we try to be as customer focused as possible when digging into their needs. So if there's and in other areas, but you're talking specifically about, okay, if they come to us and they want to talk about engaging manufacturing power. First of all, we'll talk to them primarily about their spend. What is their spend on industrial supplies? How are they keeping track of the data? What are their operating systems look like? Who's managing it? We try to talk directly to the people that are in the trenches on a day-to-day basis, see how they could use it, make sure it's a good fit. Sometimes I'll be honest, if they don't have a huge spend, or a large enough spend, I would say it might not be a great fit. If they don't spend a certain amount with on industrial supplies, hey, thanks for reaching out. I don't think we can provide you that value, but we try to engage them on a level where it's talking directly with the person who's managing that portion of the product. But then also we try to engage the people that in a specific scenario, like somebody who's on the shop floor, to see if that increase in efficiency and cost savings can help that. But it really depends on the org chart too, as far as who we talk to and that. So it's a conversation. Start out with a conversation.
Right. Absolutely love it. So powerful solution. As we wind down, Mike, hey, Don has a note here. He's going to be in the Twin City in mid-October. So he'll shoot you a connection and you get
for sure.
Don is one of the greatest human beings on the planet. You actually love Don. So a great connection here. So Mike, I want to go. So again, guys, if you're out there, please stop by manufacturingpower.com. Mike, I want to throw back on our entrepreneur hat for a minute. It's been 5 years. So, man, what a great 5-year anniversary. Congratulations. You mentioned to Dad how it's a big roller coaster. Talk a little bit about, was there a point in time where you felt like like in Nicole, you kept using the word, resiliency, tenacious, relentless. As an entrepreneur, it requires all those traits, right? Has there been a point in the past 5 years where you're like, yes, like, maybe in the first 6 months, you're like, man, is this the right thing? Was there a turning point or a point in the business where you're like, I'm doing good work. I have a nice customer base. Customers love the solutions. Was there a tipping point through your journey in entrepreneurship for you?
That's a really good question and tough to answer because my mindset is that we can always improve. Mm-hmm. So it's really a difficult one to answer, Kurt. Mm-hmm. And I apologize. I'm going to skirt it a little bit just because, I'm kind of never satisfied, and it's challenging for me because I'm not a technical computer person.
Yeah.
And that took a huge amount of time for me to learn how to not only speak with software engineers, right, but to understand more so. I'm nowhere near like any sort of expert or anything like that. I think I know enough to be a little bit dangerous, but there's the constant improvement part, and I was striving to do better for the customers and striving to do better for the problem we're trying to solve is a constant, it's always out of reach.
Sure.
So
yeah, always out of reach. Yeah.
Like I said, I don't want to skirt the question, but it's, I don't know if I'll ever be at a point where it's like time to relax and chill.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a really great answer to the question.
So, and I'll spin it 1 second. And again, resiliency, you're seeing it right here firsthand. So not even necessarily like, the word satisfied per se, or like, hey, I made it, in that capacity, but a point like Nicole, you and I were just talking yesterday, that moment when you get chills, cause like, and maybe it wasn't about money whatsoever, but just a customer were like, Mike, thank you. I can't tell you, like, you made me look like a rock star to my boss. You made me look like a hero to my supervisor, or you just saved I'm an entrepreneur, fighting in the trenches just like you are, and you just saved my company. I think on one of your case studies, it was like tens of thousands of dollars. Any of like those rewarding moments where you feel like, yes, I'm doing good work.
Ooh, there's so many. Oh, man, I'm going to generalize here too, Kurt, because there's it's really hard for me to answer these questions.
Yeah.
I have a hard time talking about myself, but like that. But there's so many aspects of being an entrepreneur that are like the roller coaster, where it's like little tiny things can be so satisfying, but even getting, like you mentioned, the customer reaction is that's the best. If you have,
right,
that's the best. But also like internally, when there's when we have a new little feature that's been made, or there's something that actually pans out that's exciting, or there's, you can see some progress with somebody that's, I think back, like one of the most rewarding things for me has been, I've been able to, establish these connections and relationships with people. And that's, for me, that's kind of the best thing.
Yeah.
And it, I don't know how to answer that.
Hey, you did a great job, man. Dropping the mic moment right there. It was all about the relationship. So that's the answer we're looking for. That was
like this. I mean, look at this.
This right here is what it's all about. So, all right, Mike, I've kept you way too long, my friend. Thank you for dedicating your time, your energy, your passion, your expertise. Thank you for what you do for the manufacturing community, making us, sharpen our tools, making us a little bit better, saving time, saving money. Again, just everybody out there, connect with Mike on LinkedIn. You can stop by ManufacturingPower. You're going to be blown away. Mike, the new app is coming out in a week. The name of the app again?
It's called In Supply. We haven't launched the actual, the app or the landing page yet.
Yep.
But that's coming up very shortly. Be on the lookout for that.
Yep.
Excuse me. And let me just say, please, Kurt, Nicole, Damon, I know if you're out there, please, thank you so much. You guys do a great service to the community. It's been a real pleasure. I really appreciate it. And I really enjoyed talking with you. I mean, it was super easy and fun.
It went by like that. So, all right, as we wind down, Mike, thank you, brother. Appreciate you taking the time. And how about, let's give a big round of applause for Mike. Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
For you guys too. Pump you up.
And Mike, give a big shout out to Phyllis. I know Homer. What was your other grandfather's name?
Albert.
You know, yep. So hey, I know you're a great family man, and so we love hearing that. Hey, how about a huge round of applause for our guest host today, our guest hostess with the mostest.
Oh man, this is
young
fun.
lady.
Damon, come back.
Now, can I get you that Lou Gehrig T-shirt now, Nicole?
Yes, I will wear it with pride.
So, all right, as we wind down, a couple of things I want to give a shout out. So, no LinkedIn Live on Monday. Everybody go out there, spend quality time with the family, loved ones, relax. Just don't worry about work for a few days. Watch a little football, baseball, whatever, cookout, whatever you got going on. I know, Nicole, I think you're going hiking. Have a great weekend, everybody. On Tuesday, we have two amazing dynamic women from IMEC that are going to be joining us. We're going to talk about how to build a diverse culture and workforce at your manufacturing operation. On Thursday, IMEC is putting on a program. It's Mike, you'll love this. We've created a panel. It's all women in supply chain. So it's a supply chain panel at IMEC on Thursday. And then we have Anna McGovern back here on Friday. And we're also going to be talking about supply chain. So we thank every single person out there, John, David, Don, anybody out there. We thank you for joining us week in, week out. We appreciate you. Nicole, any parting words of wisdom for everybody on this wonderful weekend?
Man, this has been like an ice cream sundae with sprinkles. It's like a great way to close out summer and welcome fall, to get to talk to Mike and you. I've just really enjoyed it. And Mike, I just think what you're doing for manufacturers is just so awesome. I can think of tons of clients that would really benefit. So keep up the awesome work and have a great weekend.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
Thanks,
guys, hang out with me 1 minute. So on that, God bless everybody. Have a great holiday, Labor Day weekend. Thank you.
Thanks.